Hello, and welcome to another episode of Not So Casual Talk. Today, we tend to peel back the curtains on the topic that society often shies away from and consider perhaps taboo in certain cultures as well. But that is the kind of topic I feel we should be discussing. It's important to give a safe space to controversial topics which are affecting so many of us. Diving headfirst, today we will be dwelling on a topic that's causing rifts in homes and hearts across the globe: divorce. I'll be honest, I look around and I see marriages crumbling, and it's terrifying. What is really behind this rising tide of failed unions? Are we missing the warning signs? Or is there something more sinister at play? I'm your host, Faizan Ali, and we are joined today by Alison Mary. So let's get cracking. Hello, Alison.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's been a
I'm
while.
really well, thank you.
You look lovely today, by the way.
Oh, it's amazing what a hair bit of a brush can do.
Yes. Coming back to the topic, I think we have a very sensitive topic at the moment, and something that I feel which we shouldn't shy away from. I feel like a lot of us, especially the society itself, has created this topic as a taboo. I would say something that we feel like
Mm.
it is sort of like a hush hush kind of topic, something that we shouldn't really. Um, talk about, or something that should be talked within certain kind of people, or certain you can say like in our own comfort zone. But I feel like it's a topic that should be discussed overall in general with everybody in the society, so that we can know how to deal with the situation, which is becoming much more social issue rather than a personal issue. So, in your experience, how do you see? I'm sure, like we will discuss your history as well. How, I mean, how you grew up and the things that affected you. But briefly, and you mentioned that you are a divorcee yourself. What do you think were the main reasons which affected your relationship? And your previous relationship, and even now.
So for me personally, it wasn't the fact that I didn't love him. And I think sometimes that makes it harder when you separate from someone when you're still in love with them, but you know that it's not working. No matter what you've done, no matter how much you're trying, something's not working. It's not how it was. It's not how it should be. And for me, it was my ex-husband had mental health issues to the point that it was quite dangerous in a way to stay in that relationship for him and for me. It wasn't healthy. So it was affecting me. He became emotionally, he became to abuse me emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he changed. He wasn't the person I married. And I did try, and I tried and tried, but for me, it was the fact that I was a mum now, and I looked at my son and I thought, his dad is meant to be a good role model. I'm meant to be a good role model, and I didn't want my son to grow up thinking this is what marriage was, because it certainly wasn't I expected marriage to be. And that
Yeah.
was the reason that we decided to separate and we divorced. And it was the best thing for both of us.
Yeah. I'm sure like when you decided to discuss about this topic, you are aware that we will be touching some hot subjects and something which might be uncomfortable. So I'm sure you're prepared for an emotional ride, I would say. Um,
I've got the reins on. I'm ready.
yeah.
Got the ticket.
Uh,
Let's go.
One thing that I believe that usually affects certain relationships is a communication before the relationship takes a certain stage. I feel like every relationship has certain um, stages which are you can say like life changing. For example, the first stage is when you meet the person. I mean, another person gets into your life, you share some time, so it's a one stage. And then When you decide to get married, that's another stage. And that is something which is a very drastic change, because a lot of things matter. For example, moving in with somebody, living with somebody, or if you were already living with somebody, then the stage shifts. Like when you move in with somebody, that's one stage. And then you marry somebody, then you are legally binded with somebody. So that's another pressure, that's another responsibility. Of course, the responsibilities are delegated and all that, but it's still a responsibility, and it affects everybody in the relationship. And then, of course, like when you move forward, there are plenty of other stages as well. Every relationship has its own way of evaluating what are the important stages of your relationship. Before the relationship started, when it took that stage, when you guys decided to get married, did you guys actually had this conversation that he has certain psychological issues or mental issues that you mentioned?
He didn't have them when we got married. I
Oh.
would have married him, the person that he became.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that I wasn't supportive. I was supportive, but due to his mental health, it was affected by his lifestyle that he had also went down a wrong path, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the person that I married. If he had psychological problems when we first got together and I didn't think that there was a future, I wouldn't have agreed to get married. I like your word that you're saying, responsibility. It's a
Yeah.
responsibility when you get married. It's also a commitment.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to say it. Yes, there's a lot of responsibility, but there's that commitment. And I wouldn't have committed to somebody knowing that it wasn't going to work,
Mm.
because the person that I divorced wasn't the person I married.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think I would have married him if he was that person.
You also mentioned that you have a history with your parents, that you were an orphan and something like that. Would you be able to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. So when I was 2, my real mum gave me away to strangers on the doorsteps. Basically, they heard about a woman who didn't want her child anymore, and they
Mm-hmm.
had sadly lost a baby that they were going to adopt. This
Mm-hmm.
baby had died stillborn. So they were not happy. They were in the pub, drowning their sorrows. And the same day, a friend walked in and asked what was going on. And they said, what happened? And she said, there's a woman down the road. She's got a babe, well, a child. She doesn't want her. We can go and get her. They finished their drink. 20 minutes later, my raw mum handed me over.
Wow.
So I was taken out of this relationship, this environment, which I can't remember. And I was put with this couple who at the beginning was absolutely amazing. We had everything, 3-bedroom house. I had all the toys I wanted. I was a really happy child. And overnight, it all changed. My dad was a secret gambler and an alcoholic, and we didn't realise, and we'd lost a mortgage. We became homeless, and it was a really tough childhood, and it caused the environment to change at home.
Mm-hmm.
So watching my parents loving each other and being happy, to arguing, to then domestic violence within the home, which affected
Mm-hmm.
my self-esteem. And I used to sit there as a child and a teenager and think, why are you together? Why is my mum putting up with this? Why don't you just leave him? And my mum said, Alison, I'll forgive, but I'll never forget. And she stayed with him. I think deep down she always loved him.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I wanted them to divorce, but they always used to have a broken relationship. So he would come, he would go, he would come, he would go. And I remember one day, this still, the memory I carry with me, I don't carry many childhood memories that are negative. I always try and look on the positive. But there was one childhood memory, and I remember my dad wanting to take me to his new girlfriend, and he held my arm in the hallway, and my mum held this arm, and they were literally pulling me like this. And my dad saying, no, she's coming with me. And my mum saying, no, she's staying with me. And they forgot that who they were pulling was this little child who was absolutely terrified. And that's when I was like, I just want it to end, And I work in a school in a behaviour unit. So basically, it's a unit where the children come who have emotional, behaviour and social issues. And some of the children that come there, students, I won't call them children, students come there. And a lot of the behaviours and emotions are coming from broken families as well.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I was reading some psychological papers, and I enjoy reading psychological and parental, you can say, like articles and whatnot, and also watch YouTube videos regarding psychological stuff, because I feel like those are the kind of things which broaden your mind, even if it doesn't relate to right now, but maybe in the future, or maybe through some other experiences, you will tend to use these kind of knowledge in another way. One thing that I've always read, and which has been consistent throughout in all of psychological articles, is that when your society itself is broken, every single thing inside will be broken. You can um, maybe get through with it for the time being, but as until you change your whole, um, you can say, like your whole world, you will still be part of it. That is why a lot of times they say that, like, if you want to get out of this situation, change your circle, like the kind of friends you have, the kind of society that you are in, the kind of business you are doing, the kind of education you are doing, every single thing which is connected to that personality development that you are having right now. And it is very much possible to change your personality if you change your circle. And I feel like this is the same thing that you're talking about. And I feel like this also reflects like how you said that your mother gave away, and you know about it. And there are a lot of children who don't know that, like, they had a birth mother. They consider the current mother as their birth mother, and when they find out the kind of reaction that they will have, it's something that only they can explain. And right now, because you know that this happened to you, even when you were a child, maybe this you can say, like this situation uh, build a kind of an emotion in your brain, that now this became a trigger point. Maybe it didn't affect you when you were a kid because you didn't know what was going on, but in future, every single thing that is going to happen, maybe this will bring that trigger point, that, because this happened, now you have developed this kind of a fear, or this kind of you can say, like hesitation towards people, to trust
Yeah.
them, to trust, when you can't even trust your own blood, then how can you trust somebody who is not your blood?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. So for me, I'm a people person. And for me, I was opposite. I was loving too much and trusting too much and caring too much and always being hurt by those who not always, but, I've been hurt by those who were meant to be the ones that supported me and cared for me. And I was always longing to please people and, and it wasn't until I went to counselling myself and I was speaking to the counsellor and I was explaining this. So, I was upset with a friend and I wanted more from them. And it wasn't until she put the pieces together and she actually made the connection. And it was a fear of abandonment, being abandoned. Now, I never worried about my mum giving me away. It didn't bother me, As far as I'm concerned, it's life. It happened. And I just got on with life. But it wasn't until that click moment, it broke me.
Yeah.
I was that's the first time it absolutely broke me, and it just everything fell into place. And it was like, that is why I hold on to friendships. That is why I love too much. That is
Hmm.
why I need people to feel happy around me. That is why I want people to be happy. It's
Yeah.
because of the abandonment when I was younger. And I
Yeah.
never thought that until she put that into place. So that is so true what you're saying.
Yeah. It is a remarkable theory, but at the same time, it is a little bit scary for the person that who's going through it, because I feel like you have this kind of an emotion that because this happened to you, you don't want this to happen to people who you love and who you cherish. And sometimes you tend to overlove or over cherish people who may not be that important. And when you get that kind of feeling, you feel left out, you
Yeah.
know. So it's sort of something. And of course, like, it's not something that they are you I mean, it's your expectation that they love you the same way that you love them. And of course, maybe, and they can say that they didn't ask for it, like how in a lot of relationships, in a lot of friendships, people say, we never asked for it, you were doing it yourself. But it's the feeling that you get, that, like, because he's my really good friend, so I should do something. And then when you don't get that back, because even though you don't expect it at the first, but inside your heart, your brain says that you want more from them, because you're doing so much. And when it doesn't happen, or maybe you feel left out in certain situations, because of course, like, if they are involved in your life, they also have other people in their life as well. And when there's this kind of a conflict, that how the time or how the importance is going to be divided between three people, that can sometimes trigger as well, especially when it comes to relationships. And especially, this is something that I was watching in one of the YouTube videos, where a lot of couples who are divorcees and they marry somebody who is a divorcee themselves, they have a few obligations, especially when they have their own children, because now the attention, the time that is spent between each other's child, because the idea is that now that we have become one, our children my children become our children. But that's not the case, and it is very difficult for two people to embrace someone else's child as their own, especially when they have their own.
I do
So
think it depends on, I think it also depends on the circumstances within the families and the age as well.
yeah.
Because, I'm with my partner, I've been with him 8 years, and we hope to get married one day. And I get on really well with his son, he gets on really well with my son. However, when I was younger, when I first got divorced from my husband and I got into a new relationship, my son was a lot younger, and it was really difficult for him,
Mm,
because he almost felt like, even though he wasn't, he felt he was being pushed away. And it was difficult for my ex-husband to accept that I'd moved on as well. So I do
mhm,
think it depends on the circumstances, and it depends on the age, and also what they want, what the couples want, because sometimes you get two people who have married, who have separated, who have got divorced, and they're longing to meet that right person. And they meet, and it's just everything they've ever dreamed of. They actually, or they might have got married really young
mm,
and understand that they've rushed into things too soon. And they
yeah.
understand, we're still best friends, and they actually go to each other's weddings and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I also like to bring up as well, if it's okay, is the fact
Sure.
that the way divorce affects not just children, but us adults, and how it affects employees when you're an employee, when you're working as well, because it's not just about the home life, it's about the workplace as well. It can affect your ability to concentrate and to work and to be that person that you were before. So it's not just the home, but it's also the work. And then you've got the part where you have your friends, because they might have a party. They're like, I want to invite you, but I want to invite him, or I want to fight him, but I can't fight her, and I want to fight them both. And what if they argue? There's so much. It's not just we separated. There's so much that goes on afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Is it also, I mean, this is just what I'm thinking on top of my head right now. Maybe it's the duration of a relationship. Sometimes when you're fresh in a new relationship, it is a bit difficult for sure. It can never be easy. Maybe it is easy for the couples for the time being, but probably not for the children because um, it wasn't their choice, right? I mean, the couples choose themselves that, okay, I want to be with this person, but the children normally have to just accept it or embrace it. It's very rare. I'm sure it happens as well, but it is very rare when the child is being prioritized before you even consider a relationship, and he or she is taken in every single step of the way. Because, and I'm not saying that it is right or wrong, because sometimes, most of the time, I feel like parents are afraid to introduce new relationships to their children because they don't know how it will affect, and they're not even sure whether the relationship will last or not. So there
Yeah.
are a lot of variables in this situation. But because there is this uncertainty about the children coming into accepting this new relationship, it takes time for them. So if the couple can actually go through with a certain period of time, then it becomes easier for children to accept this as a family. And a
I
lot of
think it's
times they,
I think it's down to trust as well, because they've seen their parents go through the divorce. So
yeah,
they've seen their parents, as a young child, you don't want your parents to divorce. You think, as a very young child, you think it's the end of the world. My parents divorce. I'm never, then I'm never going to be loved again. What happens at Christmas? It goes through like that. And when you get older, there's different thoughts again.
mhm,
And I think with the children getting together, it's a case of it is adapting, like you said. It's always difficult to be able to put yourself and your feelings first,
yeah,
but sometimes as an adult we've got to, and those children or teenagers, I think for them it's trust, because they've mostly seen the pain and
mhm,
the arguments maybe, and all the ups and downs that goes with divorce. So when a person, their parent, gets with someone else, for them it's the trust that they have to build, with the new found siblings and with the new animals that come with it and with the new house or whatever. And it can be really daunting and frightening for the young ones, and it's frightening as well for the people that are getting together, because they want it to work, and sometimes they could over love somebody, try
yeah,
too hard because we've got to make this work, really want it's a difficult journey. But when you find that balance and everyone's calmed down, however long it takes, because it's different for everybody, you know, then looking back, you can think, actually, do you know what? It was worth it.
yeah,
It was really worth it. And hopefully they can make more happy memories.
yeah. Another thing that I always consider is that whenever a relationship becomes a certain stage, when you are making a decision, for example, okay, now you decided to get married, or
Mm.
now you decided to move in together, somebody always have to give more than another. And this is a conversation which is always happening throughout history, I would say. Like whenever you think about even new marriages, not necessarily divorcees, but of course when it comes to divorcees getting married again, it's a different dimension, because it's not just about two people coming in. Now it's two families coming together a lot of times. So it's a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more give and take. and there is always conversation going on, which, to be honest, like, I'm not a big fan of, because I feel like whenever you have certain this kind of conversations, you feel that this is a competition, whereas I feel like marriage should never be a competition. It should always be about building something together. But there is this conversation that, like, who gives more, who sacrifices more. And now with the new age, we are, or the priority which is given is always finances, and
Yeah.
every single thing is secondary. But the main question is always who gives more. And I just wanted to highlight that, like, I feel like this is a very wrong kind of thinking whenever you're getting into a relationship, and it mostly happens when you are sharing too much with your circle. Because of course, whoever is your peer, whoever is your friend, your family, I would just say that, like, okay, they have good in their heart for you. And when that is the case, they're always looking out what is best for you. And most of the time, uh, they unintentionally create sort of a tension by thinking that you should ask this person this, you should ask him for more. And I feel like this is the kind of a stage which is so delicate that instead of discussing situations that is going on inside your family with your friends and family, you should be discussing the situations more with your partner, because that is the person who is going to be the decision maker with you in all of your future life. So
If life was just that easy, though, it does. It's not that easy, because no matter who you love, no matter how much you say we're going to do this, we're going to put our cards on the table, we're going to have a
yeah,
discussion, you do hold back so much, and you do share with us women. Share. That's what we do. We share. We're terrible for it. And men seem to hold back and like, oh no, no, don't go out there. We're not going to talk about that. Well, us women be like, oh, you never guess what? He said this last night. And that's just the way it is. I really do think it's into the individual. And I get what
mhm,
you're saying. You should discuss it with your partner, of course. You've just got into a new relationship, or you're starting a marriage, and the fact that you don't want to get divorced, the fact that you don't want the relationship to break up, is the fact that, right, we need to start with commitment,
mhm,
communication, trust. That's all the highlights. Love. It all comes together as a whole package. If it was that simple, there wouldn't be the high divorce
yeah,
around. Yeah. There wouldn't be the breakup of relationships if we all talk to our partner. Then there wouldn't be so much high divorce and high breaking relationships. But I definitely get where you're coming from. I'm lucky enough that I found somebody that I can sit down and say, look, this is how I feel. This is what, that I think we should do. What do you feel? And he'll sit and go, actually, I agree or I disagree. But to get to that point, the old Alison who got married wouldn't have said that, because I was emotionally abused.
mhm,
You see?
yeah,
So I've had to learn those skills. I've had to learn how to have a voice, an opinion. Some people haven't got that confidence to talk to
yeah,
their partner like that.
yeah,
I think it is a personal thing there, a personal strength. Have they got enough resilience? Have
yeah,
they got enough self-confidence? Are they able to have a voice and say how they feel without the fear of, if I say that, we might argue. If I say that, he might leave me or she might leave me. I don't want to push the buttons. I don't want to push too hard, because the last time I did that, we ended up arguing, and look, I got divorced. You see?
yeah,
So sometimes it's they don't want to repeat history. I would say to any listeners or any viewers that it's important for anyone, no matter who you're with, whether it's going into a relationship, going through marriage, it's very important that you do have your voice,
yeah,
and to be able to openly discuss the ups, the downs, and everything, because it is communication. Communication is key.
yeah,
Okay. Um, So yeah, that's what I would say. I totally get where you're coming from, but life's not that easy.
It definitely isn't. I believe that, like, this is a separate topic which needs a lot of time, because I feel like when you discuss topic as such, the first and the most important thing for individuals to ask themselves is what kind of a relationship do they want. A lot of times individuals, they prefer that they don't want to burden their mind in making hard decisions for their family, and they want the man, especially for women. A lot of women, they have this kind of mentality, personality, that they want somebody who will lead in every direction, who is going to be making hard decisions for the family, and they will just accept it, which is fine, because that is something that you have accepted. And then when you choose a person, that's the kind of a person you should choose. And of course, like, every decision comes with its own burden, and that needs to be accepted as well. If you want something, you will get something
Yeah.
additional as well. So, of course, nothing is going to be perfect, but you should always prioritize, okay, my first priority is this. If the person who I'm going to be married, regardless of whether a guy or a girl, both people should individually be having this kind of thinking, that they have some strict, you can say, like, minimum requirements, that, like, these are the fundamentals that needs to be fulfilled for them to be happy. Every single thing on top of those fundamentals can will be seen how it comes, because our personalities are always evolving. I'm not going to say change, because change is which I feel is something which is much more drastic, but
Yeah.
it will be evolving with the passage of time, with the situations, with the finances, maybe the location, maybe the family's growing. So a lot of things, the troubles that you are going to be having, um, it could be a positive change, it could be a negative change, but it's something that you guys need to work out together. Everybody will be evolving. So that's why I feel like it's a topic that we need a separate you can say, like, an episode, which is going to be like 2 hour episode.
Have me back on. We'll talk about that.
Yes,
Another thing with
definitely.
divorce, though, we have to understand it's culture as well.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you may not be in that relationship where you chose your partner. That partner may be chosen for you in
Yeah.
some cultures, and in some cultures as well, divorce or, faith, you're not allowed to get divorced. It's frowned upon. So they are in that relationship and they have to make that relationship work, So we're talking about in general
Yeah.
what happens. But overall, there's so many statistics out there that have shown that due to culture difference and that it's divorce is seen completely different to how we're talking about. We talk about it quite, oh yeah, we get divorced, or oh yeah, we could do, but in some cultures that's not the case. In some cultures, it's not the fact that, oh, I like him, I like her, they get together and they make it all happen. In
Yeah.
some cultures, you get chosen, your partner gets chosen, and it's a case of, well, I have to make this work,
Yeah.
and some are lucky. I know some of my friends that are lucky, and some of my friends said, no, I can't marry that person. One of my friends, she ran away, and she then met somebody, and her family have accepted him, and they've got children and everything else. So that was difficult for her, but it worked for her.
Yeah.
Some people aren't that lucky, though.
I personally feel like, regardless of what kind of a marriage you have, whether it is arranged, or it is love marriage, or nowadays they have like different types of marriages, like in between love and arranged marriage and things like that. But regardless of what it is, I feel like I of course I respect individual decisions, because I believe, like, it's not the style of marriage that you have, it's the personality that makes your marriage successful or not. It's the things that go through with the marriage, which will make your marriage successful or not. So, and yes, you're right. Like the culture plays a lot of part, especially when you have intercultural marriages,
Mhm.
interracial marriages, interreligious marriages. So there are a lot of things which play a part and which can make things complicated or it can make things easier. Depends on the family as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Fun thing is, I was reading some statistics from Forbes just before our conversation. So the most common reasons for divorces are lack of commitment. That is number one.
That's
The
their
second
commitment.
is the second is infidelity. The third
Okay.
is domestic abuse. And the
Yeah.
fourth is incompatibility and money issues. So these are the four most common reasons for divorce globally. And I
Mhm.
added one because I feel like people don't really notice that one, or maybe it is not highlighted because they didn't talk about it. I feel children are also one of the reasons why people get divorced. And there's a high divorce rate because of children, especially in Asian culture. I won't just pinpoint a single country because I've noticed that in all Asian countries, the same culture.
Mhm.
Because, for example, if somebody cannot have kids, then they normally, it was a tradition to blame the woman. Now people have modernized a bit, but
Mhm.
this thinking, this ideology still exists. But regardless of who they blame, when they can't have kids, they tend to divorce and they find new partners, or they don't divorce and they just find new partners.
Mhm.
This is also the case. And also, when it comes to accepting children, that we were discussing about accepting children of someone else, you get married thinking that like you will be able to accept someone else's kid, but it's not so easy. When you
Yeah.
feel the burden, you feel the hesitation from your partner that he's not supportive enough of your own kids, then it becomes a difficult thing as well. And after some time, it is just too much to handle. So I feel like this is something that should be highlighted.
Definitely. Definitely. I was in a relationship for 7 years, and I thought, I mean, it didn't go anywhere, obviously, but uh, I thought that my son got on really well with him.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until we separated that my son turned around and said that he didn't actually really like him. And I was
Wow,
like, why didn't you say anything? And he was like, because I wanted you to be happy.
that's sweet.
So, yeah.
I
But
mean,
no, you
yeah,
you are right. If you have two people, like we've talked about, we have two people who've got together. They may have been, in a relationship before, and they've been divorced, and they've got together, and then you've got the step brother, the step sister, and everything else, and they might not get on.
yeah,
It could be that the children are fighting all the time, or it could be that the way of parenting styles might be different.
yeah.
You can't agree on the parenting styles, and then the arguing starts. So yeah, children is one of them, another factor there.
Some of the statistics also say that both marriages and divorce rates have declined since 2000, which is kind of alarming, uh, and also makes sense in my opinion, because I feel like if people are not getting married, then what's the point of divorce, right? So it should go down. But this is, I mean, it's no laughing point, but I mean, it is a sad reality that people are getting less inclined to get married because of the fears that they have with the society now, because of the trust issues, because of the financial issues, and
Mm.
every single thing that is going on in this world. It is very difficult for people. And also, I feel like the promotion of woke culture, considering independence of individuals, I feel
Mm.
is another reason why people are not getting married, because they feel if we are independent, then why do we need somebody?
Yeah, I mean the age for women as well to have children. Years ago, a lot of women wanted to have children by the time they were in their 20s.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you were seen as old. Then it went up to 30s, now 40s. Women are older now because they want a career.
yeah,
They can have a career. So they'd rather have the career and then maybe get married. They don't have to get married. You've got, you've got, what is it, sperm donors. You've got,
Mhm.
there's so much emphasis of in the past that you have to find a partner, you have to settle down, you have to get married. Nowadays you don't. Nowadays you don't need that, and that's what's changed. Is the
Yeah.
fact that actually there's more independence on both parts. A gentleman may want to go and travel the world more now. He hasn't got the pressure of I need to settle down, or my parents want me to settle down. Or it could be, like the fact that they want to maybe join the forces and stuff like that. There's so much more opportunities nowadays for
Yeah.
people that I think marriage has been put to the back.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough, like my son, he's 24 and they're saving up to get married. They've been together since they were at school, and that's lovely for me. And then I see some of his friends who haven't even had a girlfriend yet, and they're 24. And it's like, two sides of the coin.
The sad thing about this is I feel like now when I talk to my friends that I want to find love, not just a partner, they say you have such a Hollywood thinking. Like, and it makes me
You're
sad.
romantic. What's wrong with that?
Yes, I am. But the sad thing is that like people nowadays are losing interest in love. I feel like the first point previously, the first point of marriage used to be love, and that's what I grew up with thinking when it came to my parents as well. Even though my parents' marriage was arranged marriage, but every single time that I have seen them discuss about marriage, is the first point has always been about love, about loving each other. Even my grandparents, whenever I used to talk to them, the first point that they will always say about marriages was love. And now the first point when anybody discusses about relationship is money, and that is the sad thing.
And that's what I'm saying. Things have changed so
Yeah,
much. Years ago when the war was out, you'd meet someone within a week, you'd get married because you never know if you're going to see that person again.
yeah,
Within a week, people used to just meet, get married. Nowadays, you can meet 4 or 5 different people, before even thinking about going into a relationship. It's changed so much. Society, the way things have changed so much. It's sad in a way
yeah,
because you've still got those romantic films out there. You've still got, the magazines, the social media that shows love. And sometimes they may put too much of a falseness to it, so
yeah,
it sets high expectations for people when they're in a relationship because they've watched the films or they've looked at the social media, which is sometimes quite false. And they haven't maybe had the good role model, as in the fact that, maybe their parents haven't had the happiest of marriage. So they've only got what they've read or watched to go by. So they have high expectations, and then they get into a relationship and they expect it to be all fireworks and, you know,
yeah,
red balloons and love hearts and everything, when realistically it's not like that. And I think sometimes that's what breaks relationships up and causes divorce as well, is the expectations are very high and reality comes like a big thump.
yeah, yeah. I think I want to end in a positive note. Is there any good advice that you want to give to people who are trying to change their life? I don't want to say getting married or trying to think about something different, but something positive that you feel like you've been through in
Mm.
your own relationships, your own marriages. If there is one thing that can people can do themselves for their own side, for their own side, to actually have a better future in their relationships.
Yeah, definitely. And it's quite easy. And that is love yourself.
Yes.
You have to love yourself.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I would say to anyone,
Mhm.
because if you don't love yourself and respect yourself, how can you expect others to love you and respect you?
Yeah.
So I would say to anyone, before you go into a relationship, look at what you want in life, who you are, what needs do you need, and what would you like to be, how would you like to be treated? You know, if you don't give yourself enough respect and you don't find your own self-worth, then how do you expect others to give it to you? So that is my advice to anyone, is to always love yourself first, have self-care, self-worth and self-love. If you've got that and you've got resilience and you've got empowerment, then that relationship will work a lot better than if you didn't have it.
Yeah, that's a really nice advice, Alison. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that it wasn't as depressing as I expected it to be. I
I
tried
don't
to
think
make
it's
it as
depressing.
playful and as bubbly as I could.
Yeah, no, I don't think, divorce isn't a happy subject,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have to be a depressing one.
yeah.
It can be a room for growth. And hopefully, from listening and watching this, people will get some insight and maybe some encouragement from it. So, thank you ever so much for letting me be a guest. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Alison. I appreciate it. Have a nice day. See you.
Thank you. Bye.